Hello and welcome to The Thing About Golf, a podcast series from Golf Australia magazine where we explore just what it is that draws people to this, the most maddening stick and ball game of them all. My name's Rod Murray, and each month I'll be bringing you these hopefully entertaining talks with a broad cross-section of the golf community. And they all have the one goal. We are endeavouring to answer that one simple question. What is the thing about golf? In this series, we'll meet golfers who are famous and golfers who are not. But what we guarantee about each and every one of our guests is that they will be interesting, because that's the criteria to get the call-up from the thing about golf. On today's episode, we have the remarkable story of one of the finest amateur players of recent times that you've likely never heard of. A player whose career trajectory goes against almost all accepted golf wisdom. A player who didn't take up the game until they were 24 and didn't get serious about it until their early 40s, but who to this day, at the age of 56, continues to play off a plus handicap. That is the extraordinary story you're going to hear today. That is the story of Sue Wooster. Let's start at this end of your golf career, right. Then I want to go all the way back and work our way back to here. There's no delicate way to ask this question, Sue. How old are you?
I am 56.
And what's your handicap at GA?
+2.
And what's your handicap US?
I think it's about +4, +5.
I can tell you it's +4.9.
Yeah. Golf's a little bit easier over there sometimes.
That tells you something about the handicapping system.
Yeah, that's not really that accurate. I'm probably not really a +5.
It tells us something about you too, though, doesn't it, Sue? To maintain a golf game at that level, at any stage of life, requires work and commitment and effort. Not a lot, even the really good players, particularly those who stay amateur, are prepared to put in that sort of time and effort and work for as long as you clearly have to still be playing this level at this age. What is it about golf?
Well, I've always been a very competitive person, and golf satisfies that for me. And I'm a goal setter. And I think with golf, you never quite get there. So there's always goals you can set to improve.
+6, for example.
That's not really one of my goals.
No, I understood.
Achievable goals.
Yeah.
I just, it's what I do. It's what I've done for a long time, and it's what I enjoy doing. And, it satisfies a lot of things in my life that I meet new people, I get to socialise, I get friends from it, keeps me fit. To achieve those goals, I have to stay fit. And, there's just, new challenges, new tournaments to play in. It's getting harder. It's getting harder. And sometimes I feel like my competitive is waning.
Yes.
And I have to dig deep sometimes to find it, but it's always there still. And at some point I'll decide to wind down, and I know, won't be too far away, wind down and, just spend some more time with the grandkids and maybe just travel and play golf for a bit more fun.
More sort of social golf rather than competitive. Because you play a fairly hectic international schedule. We'll come to that shortly. How much time a week do you think you devote to golf, to maintain a golf game at this level? Not
much at the moment. So I have other things that I do in my life besides golf, so it's not full time. I probably need to devote more time than I'm devoting. I'm just at the moment I'm having a little bit of sort of time off. If I have a game of golf, I might warm up for an hour, and that's kind of like my practice at the moment. It's not really practice because that's just warm up. And, sometimes I might do a bit of putting practice. I probably only spend about 3 hours a week on my game. But I've got just a few things going on back at home. So once that's cleared up, I need to start preparing for the US Senior Open, which is on in early May. So I have got to set some goals.
Better get your skates on, Sue.
Yeah.
It's just around the corner.
I know, I've got to get moving. So in another week or two, I'll be putting a lot more work into practice and start thinking about what sort of game I need and where the standard I need to get to. It's not far away. It's just a bit scratchy at the moment. It doesn't take me long, a couple of weeks of hard practice, and I'll be pretty good, I think.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is the commitment. For some people, the notion of 3 hours a week working on golf would be unthinkable. Either they don't have it, or they're just not prepared to give it. The truth is, for most of us, we're not prepared to give it. We choose to do other things instead. There's a real choice, isn't there, at that level? For every hour you spend doing golf, you've given up an hour doing something else. You're a grandmother, as you said.
Yeah.
So you're making legit, not life-changing sacrifices, but sacrifices, aren't you?
Yes, I am. But then it's like, if I'm going to play that competitive golf at that level, I don't have any choice. And there's times when I go out to practice, and as I said, in a few weeks I'll be doing more practice. Well, I don't want to do it. Well, I used to love practice.
Right.
I don't love it like I used to love it, which is unfortunate. But I know that there's no point in competing at that level if you don't practice.
No. Do you need less practice the longer you've been doing it?
Yes, you do. Yeah. Well, for one reason, you physically can't do the practice. You have to be careful. You have to weigh it up. You can't wear yourself up before you get to a tournament, because you've got a long road ahead in a tournament, especially a 72-hole event with practice before and everything. And you don't want to get injured, so you have to be fresh. And just off tournament season, when you do need to practice and get those skills honed in, you can't practice like as you get older. Your body just can't deal with it. Doesn't allow. You don't have the energy. You get injured more easily. So
it takes longer to recover if you do injure yourself.
I know that, us older ones. And but I think when you've been playing for a while, and if your skills are half decent, it's just a matter of just refining them. You're not starting from scratch. Like when you're young and you go and you're through that process of finding your swing, and it gets. And you've got coaching, and then, you've got to go backwards to go forwards, and, there's that many things you have to work on. But I think I'm at that level now where, I pretty much play pretty consistent even when I don't practice. And I know that if I put a solid couple of weeks into my game, I can get as good as I can get at it. It's not going to take me 6 months or anything.
What are the strengths of your game, Sue? How do you play off... I don't mean to harp on this, but at 56, you're quite slight. There's not a lot of you, so I'm guessing you don't bomb at 300 yards.
Yeah,
to play off +3, how do you do that with your game? How do you make that happen?
I think I hit it fairly accurately. I mean, obviously, if you hit it 300 yards, you're going to hit it more crooked.
You'd get to +6 though, wouldn't you?
Yeah, probably
if you
would.
hit 300, you would.
Someone can tell me how to do that. I'd be happy to listen. I guess... because I have that accuracy, then I'm not really having big numbers. So there's that thing. That's one point. And I've got good course management, I believe, and that comes through years of experience, and knowing what not to do as well as what to do. I'm pretty solid at short putting, like holing out for those, making those pars where you've got to get it up and down if you miss the green.
And that legitimately gets harder the more years and the more scar tissue you build up too, don't you?
It does. You have that database of all the bad putts.
The more three-footers that matter.
I'm definitely not as good a putter as I used to be.
Yeah.
And I still think that's in me, but sometimes I think that's part of it. You can't get away from that. That's just part of being older. It's like... you have a lot of other things that you've got wisdom about when you're older in that database, which is positive. But with putting, you've really got to try and have the approach of young people.
Yeah.
So just sort of look at it and they just want to hole it and just let it go. When I first started playing golf, I was always a good putter when I started.
Just straight away.
I just could read greens. I got speed it well. I hold a lot of putts.
The picture in the hands married up properly.
Yeah. I think what changed as I put more time into my golf, and then I started to get a better technique, and then I started to hit more greens. As opposed to when I was younger. When I was younger, I'd miss a lot of greens and had a good imagination with the short game, and I'd get a lot of, because I was a good putter, I'd get a lot of shots up and down. I always felt like I was a good putter because I was having a lot of one-putts. But now I hit a lot of greens. It's like two-putt.
Yeah.
It's two-putt, maybe one putt here and there, so you don't feel like you're holing as many, but you...
Less one putts when you hit 17 greens, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
that's how it works.
Yeah.
I want to come back to some of this, Sue, but first I want to go all the way back. I'm curious as to how you've ended up here. Where and how did golf first come into your life?
The first time I ever picked up a golf club was with my father when I was about 12 years of age. We went out to Hillsville Country Club. They had a 9-hole course there, and he just took me out for a walk with him one day, and And I said, oh, can I have a go at that? And I just remember the old persimmon wood he had in his bag and hit a couple of shots. And I thought, oh, that's kind of fun. And that's all. It was basically two shots. And it just went back into the memory bank, I think. And then I just saw some women's clinics advertised at the local public golf course. And when I was, I think I was about 24, I thought, I'm looking for something to do.
You had a 12-year gap between the first time you hit a ball.
I didn't play when I was young.
Right.
Yeah.
24?
Yeah.
You took it up?
Yeah, I was 24 and then and I remember going to the ladies' clinic and I remember the coach said to me, oh, you're quite good at this.
So at 24 you take it up, which is late to come to the game to get as good as you've gotten. That is unusual. Normally you find people have been playing since they were little kids or mid-teens or perhaps. At 24 when you went off to the clinic, were you one that got bitten by the bug and got obsessed with it?
Yeah, as most people do straight away. So, you just need to hit the ball in the air when you can get obsessed with golf.
Yeah. Once you've done it once or twice, you wonder why you can't do it.
Just the feeling of the connection with the club and the ball. I don't know what it is. But
And so how did you then, from there, where did you go? So you start with some ladies. A lot of the ladies I speak to, that's how it starts. There's
so
a group
then I
clinic
joined the public golf course. And
which course was that? Where was that at?
Dorset in Croydon. I lived out that way in the eastern suburbs and got a handicap.
First handicap of?
14.
First handicap 14?
Yeah.
You know, some of us spend a lifetime and never get to 14 or below.
Yeah, that's because I think I putted well.
Right. So first handicap. So you would have known, obviously, that you had some natural aptitude.
Yeah.
Did you think?
I was on a public golf course, so it's not quite like playing down the National or Sandbell. But yeah, it's not.
It's not like
handy,
chopping it and having air swings and duffing it and topping it either. So you're clearly competent in the game.
Yeah.
So at that time, do you recall having goals or wondering how good you might get? Did you say to yourself, I think I can get to scratch or I can be a pro, or were you just playing and getting better through playing? How did that?
Well, actually, what happened shortly after that was I became pregnant with twins.
As you would.
Yes.
Right.
So I remember playing golf pregnant with my twins, and then I got to a point where, as you can imagine,
it becomes unfeasible.
Yeah, well, almost. So, the driver was put back in the bag and I got the 5-iron out, in the last month or two. So I played right up till they were about 38. No, well, actually, they were premature, so I'm thinking of my next pregnancy. But not long before I gave birth, I was playing golf but with a 5-iron off the tee. So, and then, obviously, there wasn't too much golf for a while.
Of course.
And then I moved down to the country and I played down at Warrnambool and sort of got back into golf sort of part-time, the kids grew up a little bit and then I...
Did you miss it when you were away? Or were you...
Oh, yeah, I used to put the kids in the playpen. I'd take them down to the driving range at the local golf course and put them in the playpen because when you've got twins, they like play together and it's pretty cute. And
did you get looks? Did people look at you a bit funny?
Oh, probably. I didn't care. And just to hit golf balls, I just loved it. Okay. I always loved it, and I always, in the back of my mind, wanted to play. Well, I wasn't sure back then when I started, but like when I did that, and then I went down to Warrnambool to live, then I started playing, and I got better at it, and I just loved it, and I just wanted to. Whenever I could touch a golf club, I would.
You would.
Yeah, and then I worked and I had more children and then in my early 40s I started to play more seriously when they grew up.
So at 24 you have a couple of twins, you're hooked on the game.
Yeah.
In your early 40s there's a big gap in the middle there, you start to get serious.
Yeah,
what sort of level are you playing at in between and how are you managing that?
So when I went down to Warrnambool to play, then I think within 6 months I was off 4 handicap.
So there's about 16 years in there from 24 to 40 where you're around that low single digits. What's it like if you're a bloke playing off that handicap? There's lots of events and things to play and lots of people to play with. Less so for women. How do you maintain the competitive design? Where were you playing to get your sort of competition?
Well, I'd say between, say, 27 and 40, I guess I played pennant, Melbourne pennant.
Did you travel up from Warrnambool?
No. Well, when I was in Warrnambool, I wasn't there for a long time. I was there for a few years. I played down that local pennant. But then I came up to Melbourne and I joined Woodlands when I was about 30, I think.
Okay.
Played pennant for them for several years. And then when my youngest son went to school...
How many have you got, by the way? How many kids?
I've got 4 kids.
4 kids, okay.
Yeah, 4 boys.
That's a handful.
Yes.
4 boys?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and 6 grandkids, 5 boys and 1
You haven't got time for golf.
I know. I lead a busy life. But
So at Woodlands, you're playing pennant.
yeah,
so
I
you're
played
getting
pennant, and like I played in the odd tournament. I might play in the Vic Amateur or they had the 70-hole stroke play back then. But in all those years when I was doing that, I used to get a little bit frustrated because I knew that I could be better than I was performing. But I never had any time to practice.
If you had the time to do it.
I never, like Friday was my game. Often I played pennant on Friday and I never used to like winning early.
Because
that was my only
not
game
enough
of golf for the
That's
week.
all you'd string it out to the 17th.
Yeah, like if I knew that I was probably just going to win it, I didn't really mind if I lost a couple of holes coming in.
Sue Wooster. Oh, my goodness. Sports psychologists could have a field day with that. Was there then or is there now, and I think we're all guilty of this, you can't help but think, what if, can you, Sue? I think, ask Lindy Goggin this same thing. She was in a different situation. Had she wanted to, she could have turned professional, but she didn't want to. I feel like maybe for you, if things had been different early in life, maybe you might have considered that.
I think if I didn't have kids, I probably would have followed that path. Whether I was good enough, that's another thing, but...
So you're at Woodlands, you've got 4 kids, a million things going on.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned in your early 40s as though something sort of changed. What, the kids get to a certain age and you've got more time?
The kids...
And you've
so
still
my
got...
oldest boys are 32 now, so, they were starting to become quite independent and, they're starting to leave home and I just had this burning desire to play golf competitively, to see how good I could be, to see where I could
and
get.
This had built up for 15 years, I'm guessing.
And then it built up, that's right.
So you're really driven at this stage.
Yeah, I'm really driven.
So what handicap are you, what level are you playing at this time when suddenly it becomes clear you're going to be able to have a bit more time to do
I don't know, probably...
Still around that 4 or
probably
you
2
down
or
to
3
scratch
or 4,
or 2 or 3?
something like that.
Okay.
I can't quite remember, but probably not scratch, I don't think.
No. So what happened then? So you got to your early 40s, you had the time. What happened? How long did it take for you to sort of... Because it's a lot harder to get from 4 to 2 and 2 to scratch than it is to get from 20 to 10 and 10 to 5.
Yeah, it does. The increments are different.
It gets harder and harder the further you go.
It does. So
how did that unfold? Because we're going to come to this. At 48, you qualified for the Interstate Series.
I had to take a good hard look at my whole game and say, well, if I'm going to compete against these good elite players, what do I have to do to compete? And I need to make some improvements. So I took stock of my game and realised I had a lot of improvements I had to make.
You took stock of your game and you saw that if you wanted to compete, you'd need to change it. What sorts of things? What did you see?
Well, I needed to hit the ball further. I needed to...
How far do you hit it, just out of interest?
With my driver, probably about 210 metres.
Really? I can't, in my mind, comprehend someone can hit the ball 210 metres and play off +3.
You mean it's not far enough?
No, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the automatic assumption.
Yeah.
Because we watch golf, we read about golf, and everything says, and particularly in the modern power game. We might come back to some of that.
But you get that handicap off the ladies' tees.
Yeah, still.
We're not getting off the men's tees.
I understand that, but...
So that's, I don't know.
Just by the by, that was just a... So, and what else so you need to hit it a bit further?
Yeah.
What else did you need to do?
Which I did. So I hit less than 210 before.
So you learned in your 40s how to hit the ball further. So that's...
Yeah, I did.
That's
and,
commitment.
I worked on my body. Like I did a lot of gym work to get stronger. I've always had a good diet. That's important for me, to have a good diet. So it's almost like a job.
Yeah, well, yes.
You have to apply yourself.
Sure.
What
are your family saying? What are your kids and your husband? What do they think about this? I imagine golf's probably taking incrementally a bit more time and a bit more time and a bit more time as you're sort of committing to it and really getting involved. What sort of impact did that have? You can't do it without support, I suppose.
Oh, look, my husband's been unbelievable.
What's your
Keith.
Keith, well done, Keith. Shout out to Keith.
Yeah, he's always supported me.
Is he a golfer?
Yes, he is. He's a very good golfer. He's always supported me and, he caddies for me on most of the tournaments. He's always, helping me with my game and he knows my game inside out. He knows the way my brain works. And so he was always supportive. Obviously sometimes I'm not there because I'm on the golf course and he's like, I'm sure he'd like me home more. But at the end of the day, overall, he was all for me and he still is for playing competitive golf.
That's kind of crucial, isn't it? Without
you can't do it
you
without
couldn't have
it.
done that, could you?
Yeah, and I'm sure my kids too, missed out on some things because I was playing golf. But then I could have been working and had a career as well. I mean, I was working part-time, but just in our business. But, you know, I think in the day, you know, I don't think, you know, people need to have their own goals and their own life and their own ambitions to be fulfilled and to be a whole person, you know. And some people are happy staying home with their kids. But, I need something else, always needed something else, and that's just the way I've always been. You know, I love my kids to death, but, you know. But as I said, I did it when they got older, so it didn't have that much of impact on them.
It's a bit hippie, I suppose, but that's a whole person thing, isn't it? You love your kids, but you're driven to see how far you can go with this golf. And you've got a bit of a gift in that way too. You almost have a responsibility, if you love the game, to do that, don't you?
Well, I have been lucky to have the opportunity. Very grateful. I mean, it's, you know, a woman or any person of that age that can play golf. I mean, I travel overseas. I play golf. I'm not even making money doing it.
Spending money doing it.
I'm spending money doing it. I'm spending my money doing this. But you've got to spend your money on something. You might as well do it on something that you love, something that you can have great memories. So, sometimes I feel like I have an obligation to do it. Sometimes, I mean, obviously I do it for myself, but I also want to do it to inspire other women in golf and maybe in other things in their life that, you know, don't just think when you get to a certain age it's all over, you know. I'm a big advocate for senior women's golf. Obviously, you know, I'm involved in it. And, you know, I think, you know, growing up, there's a lot of men, like there's a lot of male, just even amateur tournaments. Let's not even go to the professional level.
Right, yeah.
But there are a lot of amateur tournaments that men can play in around Australia. And there's a lot of senior men, and there's not so many senior women. And, you know, if the women don't get the opportunity to play in all those events that the men do, they get to play in some of those events. But even when they do get the fields for those events, are not that big. Obviously, more men play golf than women.
Sure.
But I think what's happened is over the years, back in my generation,
our generation,
our generation, men were playing golf on the weekends. A lot of them. Women never took it up, or if they did, they had to stop playing because of their children. That was just the way it worked. Men did. I'm not saying all men did this, but there's enough men that did that, I believe. They kept their skills up, they got better, and then that's why and more men play, obviously, play sport generally. And so there's a lot more depth in that senior men's field, amateur golf, than the women's. And so women kind of are taking it up later. And, you know, any sport's difficult taking it up later in life.
Well, to get any good, golf might be the hardest of all, though, later in life.
It may be, yeah.
I mean, you can play golf until you're 90, poorly.
Yeah.
But if you want to get good,
I think you've got to train your body a bit younger to move a certain way.
Yeah. Indeed. Let's come back to you. So you're in your 40s, you're working hard, you're getting better. Did you have goals? What were you hoping to achieve when you were on this road? Did you have interstate
I had the goal to get
teams?
into the interstate team.
Right, that was a goal.
To get into that team, you have to perform in the tournaments.
Right.
So you have to, I'm not sure quite what the criteria was, but you had to, from memory, maybe you had to be like maybe it was on the Order of Merit, the Australian Order of Merit ranking system. And so you had to be in I think the team consisted of 6 or 7 players. So that was perhaps my goal back then from memory, was to get into that, get my ranking high enough that I could get looked at, and then you go into a squad. And there might be a squad of 15 girls, and you have practice sessions every week for a couple of months, and then they'll pick the team from that. So they're taking a number of things, but it was mainly through your tournament results and performance.
And can you remember why you picked that as a goal, as opposed to maybe winning the Australian Amateur, or I don't know, any number of other goals? Was there something particular about the interstate team being a part of that?
I thought it'd be fun to be in a team, being honoured to represent your state. And I knew no one had done it at my age. And that was, for me, that was a big achievement. And I thought if I can, because I think the youngest at the time, my first time in the team, the youngest was probably like 22 or something, and then there was me at I can't remember, 46 or 47, whatever age it was. And so that was a big achievement for me to get into the team, because it was everyone else in that 15-team squad was all young too.
Mm-hmm.
So to get recognised at that age was pretty special.
Can you remember the feeling when you got the call up, when you were told? Was there a phone call?
No, we had an announcement. So we had the squad.
So all 15 of you were around?
Yeah, and we had, some of the members of Golf Victoria, I think, and Ali Mump was the manager, and I think Michelle Johnson was at the time. Michelle Johnson at the time was the coach, and I got the. So we were in this facility at Moona Links, I think, and so I got called out, and I was I remember it now. I was just like so thrilled to be representing my state. It was one of my best memories. Yeah.
In the lead up to that, in that room, is that a bit like the Oscars?
Probably not quite like the Oscars, but
you know
a similar
what I mean?
Format.
I think I've done enough, but you can't know, and I'm sure I'm in. Oh, there's no chance I'll get there. I'm kidding myself.
I guess I felt like I was on the border. It's like maybe I could, maybe I mightn't, but I think Alison Munn had a lot of faith in me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think she knew I could, perform at that level, and I think I'd earned my spot.
You're untested at that level in a lot of the interstate team series. And how did you go once that had happened?
So I remember it was a very challenging week. I remember Ali said to me, "You must So we start we have a practice round on the Sunday, and we play basically 36 holes nearly every day.
And where was this at?
Days.
Where was the
Peninsula?
At Peninsula,
North Course. She said, by the end of the week, you've got to be totally spent. Yeah. And believe me, I was. Because I remember we're big St Kilda fans in our family, and the grand final was on the next day. And I remember going out to breakfast with the family near the ground, and I virtually couldn't speak. I was so mentally and physically exhausted. I think I was undefeated the whole series.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That must be a source of enormous pride, because there's enough pressure just being in the team, and all of your teammates feel it, but they're at very different stages in life, and you're carrying that, I won't call it a burden, but I think you know what I mean, that extra responsibility.
I thought, so that is true. You get into the team and you're like all excited, but then kind of that, you calm down from that and you think, oh God, I better make sure that I am, show that I've earned my spot, and,
What was the internal dynamic like? Because from the outside, us in the media, we immediately go, oh, well, Sue's older than these other ones. She'll be like the mother of the team.
Well, it was a little bit like that. But
was that the case? And how did they treat you? How did they react?
The girls were great.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, the girls were great. I mean, when you get to a certain age and you have certain life experiences and you've had kids, you can't accept be a little bit like that. But I tried to be as much as I could as one of the girls as well. I wasn't trying to mother them too much, but maybe a little bit here and there, but... I was just trying to be one of the girls, and everyone accepted me and, realised obviously that I'd earned my spot, I believe, and got in. I think I was in the side for a couple of years after that, yeah.
Which is almost as... It's one thing to earn a card on a tour. To keep it is a real achievement. It's one thing to get into a team, but to keep your place in an interstate series, that must be an equally... though probably different sense of achievement and pride.
Yeah, it was. It's different than the first time when you get selected, but nonetheless it's still exciting, and but then reality sets in and you have to perform.
You've got to play.
Yeah, so I didn't go through any other season undefeated like the first one, but I played relatively well, I think, but yeah.
Of course, in hindsight, Sue, that's all small potatoes, because you then blossomed and went on to international amateur play. You've played particularly well in big international tournaments. When did you first start to think that was something you'd like to do, and when did that become a real possibility for you to go overseas? And because, as you said, you're spending your own money, and I imagine your husband goes with you, and there's probably a bit of a holiday element in there eventually at some point. But
obviously, as I'm getting older, I'm thinking, it's harder to win an event with the young girls, naturally, and there's more girls playing, and it's getting harder, and the scores are getting better.
All good things, but not good for you.
Yeah. And so I thought, my goal was when I turned 50, I could go overseas, because 50 is the age for senior golf in the rest of the world. Australia's 55.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
What is wrong with us here?
I don't know, but it should be 50.
Yeah, of course it should.
For a number of reasons. We won't go there. So it's 55 for men overseas, but there's a reason for that. We won't go there. But it should be 50 for
We're going to run out of
women.
battery, but you can tell me about that later. Yes. Okay, so you realised that you had an opportunity.
Yeah,
to maybe
so I
do
thought,
something.
okay, now I'm 50. I can win. I want to win. I don't just want to make up the numbers. I want to win. That's what I like doing. So,
And was it the case that you knew you were good enough and you wanted to prove
I
it, or
didn't
was
know
it
I
the
was
case
good
of
enough.
you
I didn't
weren't
know.
sure and
I
you
hadn't
needed
been
to
over there
find
and done
out?
it, so I didn't know what the competition
Yeah.
was like. But so my first event was when I turned 50. You know, quick funny story is that I entered in the US Senior Amateur Championship. You have to qualify to get into that. So the qualifying's not on the Monday before like most tournaments. The qualifying's on like a couple of months before it all over the country.
In America?
Yeah, there's like 500, 600, 700 women trying to
you're
qualify.
here.
And I'm here.
And you
So
gotta-
I have to book a ticket to go over there to qualify, and then I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to book another ticket to go over and play in it.
So if you play well, you've booked yourself another chunk of money to go back a
Yeah.
couple of months later,
Yeah.
right?
So I booked my ticket, and then I enter the event for the qualifying, and I'm all, it's not far away. And then my husband says to me, "I don't think you need to qualify." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because if you're top 500 in the world."
Oh.
On the World Amateur rankings, you get an exemption. So we checked all that out, so I didn't have to go and qualify, which was pretty cool.
Saved a couple of thousand?
Yeah, that's right. And so I played in that event, and I qualified for the match play. So we played 2 rounds of stroke, and I qualified for the match play. And I was up in Northern California, and I got beaten in the first round.
What was it like, though, that experience? That's your first...
Well, I realised it wasn't good enough to win a US amateur.
Right.
At that time, because you got to understand in the US, it's a different ball game than here with senior golf.
In what way?
Well, because they've had all their college system,
Right.
so all the professional. So a lot of those girls that are in college turn pro. So there's girls that have turned back as amateur that played in the old PGA.
Right.
And they're obviously fairly handy golfers still, and a lot of the girls have been playing golf since they were young. Competition all the time. Mm-hmm. Not all the time, but a lot of competition, more than I ever did. So they're really honed in on with these high level tournaments, and and the Americans are very competitive, as you know. Mm-hmm. And so not that I wasn't competitive, they just show it a different way, and I show it a bit more internalised with that.
What do you mean? They're sort of in your face a bit?
Yeah, they are, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but that's just the way they are. I don't mind it.
I don't
kinda
see
like
you
it.
shrinking from that, Sue, I'd have to say, but I don't see you initiating it either.
No, but so I sort of went over there and I sort of thought about it, and I thought, I was honest with myself, which you need to be. I thought, okay, I played in it and the event was awesome. A USGA event is like on your bucket list.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing event. They have a lot of money, obviously, so they make it a great event. And every detail's attended to.
You get the pyramid of balls on the practice range, the
you
whole
get your
thing,
name on
and
the range, and the
range.
courses in unbelievable condition, and the courses they play are fantastic, and it just goes on and on. And so I thought, I want to win one of these.
So now you've got another goal.
So now another guy says I'm a goal-orientated person. I need a goal. Mm-hmm. So I flounder around and don't do anything. So that was my goal. But I thought, well, that only happens once a year. So you have to get your game to a level good enough to better win it. And B, you have to have it at the right time.
Peaking at the right time.
So it's like, well, that's 1 week a year. That's a goal, but I've got to do some other stuff besides for 1 week a year. Although I guess Olympians do that, don't they?
Pretty busy for the 4 years in between, you would think, playing Grand Prix and world events and all that sort of stuff. So you're looking for a schedule, I suppose.
So then I'm looking for a schedule, and so I played in whatever I could. There's not a lot of events to play in as seniors.
In Australia, there wouldn't be a lot?
No, in the US.
Right, okay.
But the standard, there's a lot more depth over there. Some very good senior players. There's a lot of, there's quite a few women playing off plus figures. So I wasn't on my own there, so there's some pretty decent golfers as a turn pro, really good amateurs.
Did you feel like you went from, in some ways, big fish in a small pond to little fish in a big pond?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that's for
Because
sure.
I imagine in Australia still to this day in senior women's amateur, are you our number one ranked senior woman amateur? I imagine if not, you'd
Well,
be in
not on
the
the
top
order
three,
of
but
merit, but in terms of the world rankings,
anybody who's teeing up in a tournament, they're looking at Sue Wooster as one of the favourites, I assume, here, in that sense.
I guess,
Yes.
yeah.
But you're not that over there, are you?
Well, I wasn't.
When you got there, no. When you first went, you're not that. And that's a change, isn't it?
Yeah, and there was a big new world, It's like, but it was new and it was exciting, and I thought, it was just. I remember going on the range at that tournament in the first US Senior Amateur I played in, and there's all these women like packed the range, and they're all like me. They're all clones of me. They're all like golf nuts. They're all like working on their game. They've got their
trying new clubs and putters
and just looking at their, they're working on their technique and shot making, and they're like practicing for hours, and we go there and people spend 8 hours a day at the golf course like they're professionals, even the senior women.
So you felt you belonged?
I felt like I belonged. I thought
that's a big step, isn't it?
Yeah, because I'm a little bit of an anomaly in Australia, really, because we haven't had that college system, and most women, men too, they get to my age, they've passed all that.
Yeah, they've enough.
They don't want to be competitive. They can't be bothered. Or they've done it when they're younger.
Yep.
So I hadn't done it when I was young, and that's probably why I'm still doing it, because I never did it when I was younger, so I probably would have given up years ago.
Well, I must say so. I get the feeling if we came back here in 20 years, you'd still be just as competitive and finding a new arena to compete in with the over 75s. I reckon I can win this over 75s women's amateur. I'm convinced I can.
Maybe. But, so it was like, so wow, this is like a whole new world I didn't know existed. So I wanted more of it. And then so I had the goal of getting better to put myself in a position to win a US Senior Amateur maybe one day if I was lucky enough and my cards fell the right way. And that. So for the first few years, I played in some mid-amateurs, and I think I had to do qualifying a lot of the time. I think I've been successful with my USGA qualifying. I think I've only not qualified once. I think I've probably tried to qualify 10 times.
Okay.
I think I've only missed out on one mid-amateur once, and so that's pretty.
It says something about a player, doesn't it, Sue?
I like the qualifying. I find I really can knuckle down in qualifying because you get one go, 18 holes.
This is it. And I think I have the ability just to grind it and just go like... It's the ultimate pressure, really, isn't it? This is it. It's Sunday.
I kind of love it but hate it.
Yeah.
That's the thing about competition. You love it and hate it because it's stressful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it's testing
I'll probably
you,
make
isn't
it
it?
more stressful than it should be, but it is testing and it puts you outside your comfort zone, and that's other reasons I play golf, to be outside my comfort zone, to put myself in new situations, to push myself and see what I'm made of, and it makes you a stronger person too.
What do you reckon you're made of in hindsight? Well, not hindsight so far.
Oh, well, I think I'm still...
Pretty stern stuff. I mean it's hard to say about yourself, Sue, but
I think
you're pretty impressive, aren't you?
I think the biggest challenge in golf for any human being, no matter how good they are, is what you think about yourself. Do you back yourself? Mm-hmm. Do you believe in yourself? That is the hardest thing to do under pressure. That's what you need to do to win a tournament. You need to say something like, well, someone's got to win this. It might as well be me. I mean, I never used to be like that, but now I'm like, once you won things, it's easy to say, well, I've won before, but you still have those same feelings arising, even no matter how much you've been successful. When you get in contention, you still have those feelings of doubt about yourself. And when you push through those feelings and you just back yourself, it's so powerful. It's really it's the best feeling. And sometimes you don't always pull it off. But it's just it's just that vulnerability we have as humans beings, I think everyone's like that underneath. They never think they're good enough. They're always looking at their faults. But I think if you can just say, well, I have faults, I'm not perfect, but I reckon I can do this. I reckon someone's got to do it, might as well be me, and just give it a go.
like so many things in this game, Sue, easier said than done. So where does that come from, do you think? Have you taught yourself that, or is it in there to be uncovered? I remember we spoke once. I think you played in a match play event. You're 5 down with 5 to go, and you won it on the 20th. And I remember asking you and saying to you, how did you do that? And it didn't make any sense to me at the time, and it kind of does now. And you just said, well, you just can't give up. I said, well, of course you give up. You're 5 down with 5 to play. Of course you give up. It's the only sensible course of action. I think in golf,
I think to be a good player, you can never give up. You always got to expect. You never know what's around the corner. You never know how many birdies are around the corner. You never know when your game's going to change. If you play match play, you don't know whether your opponent's going to falter, whether you're going to, play out of your skin. And you just, with golf, it's just, you know yourself, you play golf. As soon as you just, just get a bit slack or go, I can't be bothered or whatever, your game just, you just start, you fall apart.
You unravel.
You can't, if you want to be a good player, you just have to keep grinding it and just keep working through it and punching through the walls, and just give it your all. And, you can't control what the thing about, you're not playing tennis.
No.
You're not, the other person doesn't control the shot you hit back. You're in complete control in golf. So really, whether you play match play or stroke play, you're on your own. And you just got to try and hit every shot as good as you can and hope that it's better than your opponent at the end of the day.
It's a funny competition, golf, isn't it, for that reason? Because I think of club golf, and I've always thought this is wonderful about it. You compete against everyone, but you don't directly compete against anybody. You ultimately only compete against yourself, which is why when your mate's playing well, you can be happy for him.
Yes.
And when he's playing badly, you can enjoy that just as much as he does for you.
Yeah.
It's a strange form of competition, isn't it, golf?
Yeah, it's the most individual sport, isn't it? And I think because you have so much time out there and because you are standing still over the ball, it's not a non-reactive sport, you have your mind just goes to all sorts of places. But you have to train yourself. You said to me before, how do I do that? How do I believe in myself? And, some days I wake up, it's harder than others.
Okay.
For whatever reason, I don't know, some days you just are more stronger in the mind than others. Some days you've got more energy than you have than other days, whether you've slept poorly or you've eaten poorly, whatever it is, or you've eaten well or you've slept well. And, there's ebbs and flows in your life all the time. And I just think, I don't know, you can train yourself to think like that as well. You've got to find little tricks. There's little tricks because those voices are always there. You can either push them away, you can accept them. There are two ways of dealing with them. Accepting them and let them just float off, or have methods to change the voice, change the the message that they're sending you. And so I think it's about being just distracting yourself in golf from those thoughts too. Like I try to distract myself by thinking about other things.
Like what?
Which helps. Oh no, just sometimes when you're feeling under pressure and you're starting to think,
this isn't going well.
No, you might be thinking, I have to hit a good,
big moments, big shot.
When you're under a big moment, your body naturally gets tenser. When you get tenser, your body doesn't move like it wants to move. So you have to try and learn ways of relaxing yourself so that it can do what you needed to do to hit those shots. So, you might have a mantra. You just have a mantra. You might have a mantra, like Annika Sorensen's mantra was fairways greens, which I do a lot. Fairways greens, fairways greens, fairways greens. You can talk, if you say fairways greens the whole way down the hole, there's not too much else that come into your head, can there?
No, true.
You might look around at the scenery and just go, I'm so lucky. Look at this beautiful scenery. I'm so lucky I could be in other places today that are a lot worse than this. And, you could think of something nice, patting your animals,
Are these all actual thoughts you've had at big moments?
Yeah.
You're telling me you've stood at the US Women's Amateur and thought about patting your dog?
Yeah, or singing songs in my head or just distracting myself and trying to have good thoughts that relax me. But then some days that doesn't work. So you have to have a whole lot of different little tools that you've got for different days. Because sometimes those things that worked on other days don't work on this day. So another day might be for me, for instance. I'll say to my husband, who's getting, I'll say, so I'm in back nine mode now. When the back nine hits, no talking for me, no talking. And I'm just hyper-focused, and I don't talk, I don't react to anything, I don't analyse anything, I just hit the shot, play it, and just...
Go to the next one.
Yeah, and just sort of try and block everything out. But other days, like I said, things come into your head, so you have to deal with that.
Because the truth is that's what golf's really about, isn't it? The physical hitting of the ball has got nothing to do with any of that once you get to that level, does it?
Yeah, I think at that level, I think for people that are learning golf and are on high handicaps, you can be very good mentally, but it doesn't mean you'll play well, because unless you have the technique...
Some of the skill, that's right.
You need to have a certain level of technique and then get that supported by the mental side. But that helps... When you've got certainty, that helps you mentally. I know I can hit this shot, so I can afford to not worry about that aspect. Yeah. I mean, you don't always you can never have certainty in golf, no matter how good you are. You have to go out in golf expecting bad things to happen because it usually does. So go out there, expect it, so when it happens, you're not so upset. Yeah. Why
do we play this game, Sue? When you sit and think about it, it's insane, isn't it? But it's wonderful all at the same time.
Yeah, I just think because, it's always different. Even if you play the same course every day, it's always different. And you never quite, you never master it. So if you are a goal-orientated sort of person...
There's always something, isn't there?
There's always something that you can work on, get better at.
You didn't putt well today, you didn't drive it well today, you didn't hit your irons
you
well
want to have
today,
your best score, you want to break, whatever it is.
Now, we didn't finish your resume, which we're going to do quick, and then we're going to wrap it up because we're getting on. So, let's forget about what have you won? What are your proudest victories? You've won some big events in North America, haven't you? So run me through your proudest sort of victories.
So I won the North and South, I think, 3 times. I've won the Canadian Seniors twice in the last couple of years. I won the Canadian Mid-Amateur last year. This may be one of your competitors.
Do you need I wear glasses. You don't. I can't believe that you don't. That's not fair.
I do sometimes for reading, but I won the Australian Golf Digest Senior Player of the Year in 2017.
We'll edit that out. We'll edit that bit out. That's a great achievement.
But why I'm proud of that is because I was selected from all men and women golfers, both male and professional. So we've got some pretty hot senior golfers, Peter Senior, Peter Fowler. So to win that, I was very honoured to win that. I've won the last year. Won the Australian Women's Senior Amateur. I won the New Zealand Senior Amateur, and probably and I was a member of the inaugural Trans-Tasman Cup team, which is a team of senior women. Australian women and senior New Zealand women.
And we beat the Kiwis?
Yeah, we beat the Kiwis.
We beat the Kiwis, so that's good. That's well done.
That was over at the Grange. And my biggest achievement was actually not a win. It was my runner-up in the US Senior Amateur Championships in Florida just last year. I didn't quite pull it off. And like I said, I started playing when I was 50 in these. And
that was the goal, wasn't it?
Well, that was the goal.
And that was the moment?
And that was the moment. I played pretty good in the last round. My putting was just a little bit... wasn't bad. She just putted better. She held a couple of putts. Yeah. Wasn't quite good enough in the moment. And but it's given me drive to, get back out there. And
you're not done yet is what you're saying.
No, I mean, that's a big tournament. We played 10 rounds of golf in 8 days.
And as you say, it's the most competitive golf you can play.
It's the highest... It's the highest ranked amateur event in the world.
Yeah, serious players.
Yeah. There's a lot of good players.
And all there all doing what you're doing, trying to peak for that event. It's kind of like it's the biggest title.
I had to play my best golf to get there I've ever played.
Right.
Yeah, so...
Fantastic.
I'm hoping next year I can pull it off.
I guess that kind of answers what's next in a way, Sue, but you said something earlier that reminded me of something that Peter Senior said. You mentioned his name. When he won the Masters at Huntingdale in 2015 at the age of 57, I'm going to say, 56, which was the big three in Australian golf in his 50s, which is extraordinary. He said for him one of the most important things was the example that sets to other people. He'd won so many things in his life already. There was a sense of achievement about the win. Yeah. There was something that he hadn't had before, which was just because you're 50 or 55, don't give up. I sensed that you were sort of saying something similar before. So I guess do you just keep doing what you're doing to be an inspiration? Have you got ideas of other ways? Do you mentor young people?
As I said, I'm not doing this forever, so I'd like to work with young elite girls down the track. That's what I would like to do and help, big squads or, the VI work maybe in conjunction with the VIS or something like that. No, I'd like to get back to golf and work with the young girls, young elite players. I'm sure I could be of some sort of help and for the girls with more of my experience. But, I also, as I said, I'm doing it for myself, but like Peter Senior said, when you win something at that age, and our age, you like to think that other people can look at you and go, gee, maybe I can reach that goal that I said. Maybe that isn't too much of a goal for me. Maybe if I put the work in, and you always have to put work in to reach goals, because people say to me, oh, yeah, but Sue, you're crazy, you practice and no one else does it. I said, but I choose to do that. Mm-hmm. You can choose to do it too, if you want to, if you want to, and everyone wants to get better at golf. I don't know, there's one person that doesn't play, I wouldn't know that.
Everyone wants to be better, Sue.
Yeah, but
most of us won't put in the effort to get better.
A lot of
That's
people
the truth.
Don't enjoy practice because they don't practice the right way and make it fun. You need to be able to learn how to make it fun by playing little games and competing, and playing competitions with other people and all those sorts of things. But I think, not just golf, but any perhaps more so sport, that you can still, you're not over the hill when you're in your 50s. You can still be, competitive golf's lucky for us that we can play competitively at that age. That not every sport you can do that. You can't do AFL football and, it's a number of, obviously, sports you can't still do.
But you can come to golf after those, which a lot do.
Well, yeah, they do. And they go, I wish I played when I was younger.
And every one of them says, I wish I'd taken this up when I was a kid.
Yeah. But, I like to think that that I can, inspire people to reach their goals, even if they feel they're too difficult, because it hasn't been easy for me. It is difficult. It is difficult.
That's the myth, isn't it? It's not easy for anyone, is it? It's not easy for Tiger Woods.
No.
He's good at golf, but he's not that much better than others that
and he's had all those injuries as well. And he just keeps coming back.
Yeah, he keeps coming back.
And you've got to admire him for that. You
Very
really
much.
do.
Yeah, good point. Well, Sue, you've inspired me.
Oh, thank you.
I reckon I'm going to get my handicap down to 9 one day.
What's your handicap now?
Yeah, we don't want to. It's 11 at the moment.
It's not.
It's hardly a huge goal, is it?
No. Getting down to single figures is a big goal.
It's a big goal. I've been to 9.63 times
really?
and never got there. All 3 times.
It's up there. You're absolutely between the years.
Easier said than done, Sue. It's been fabulous to talk to you today.
Yeah,
We've come back to where we started.
Me.
Thank you for and I hope the listeners have enjoyed and taken something. I think everybody can take something from your story and the way you've done it. So thanks very much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Normally, that would be the end of our chat, but as is often the case with these things, Sue and I continued to talk after the stop button was pressed. And it was during this informal discussion that Sue started making some revelations about the pressure of high-level competitive golf that I felt I just had to capture. For all of us who'll never know what it's like to play for something truly important, there is some fascinating insights in this bonus content from Sue. Sometimes I don't want to play, you just said to me. What do you mean?
Yes, I'll enter an event and I'm all excited about playing in it. But when you enter an event, it takes months before it actually starts. But then I was just saying I suffer from anxiety.
So not just with golf, generally speaking.
Just generally, not every day. I don't have to deal with it every day. But I do suffer from anxiety. And so I have my challenges there, and it's a big challenge when you play golf, especially competitively, because some days, so I'm all excited about playing the event, but say, a week before the event, I start thinking about it. And as much as I'm sort of happy to play and I'm not happy to play in it, it's sort of a love-hate thing. And then I start to get anxious. And then I have all those, talking before about the doubts. Maybe you're not good enough, maybe you should be playing in it, or I'm not going to play well this week. And it's like I'm trying to sabotage myself. And it's not the best space to be in. And sometimes I get to the tournament and I'm seriously feel like I could pull out of it. Seriously.
Have you ever done that?
I've never pulled out of it. Because, with anxiety, it comes and goes. It's not there every day, and something can trigger it, or it's. And I think when you're in a pressure situation, it surfaces more if you tend to be that way. So golf is like that, competitive, especially, the first round of a tournament, and everyone's nervous, And some days I'm just nervous. Some days I'm nervous and anxious. As well. It comes from fear.
Yeah.
Creates anxiety, and so fear is not the best emotion to have on a golf course.
No.
Fear of the bad shot.
Yeah.
Just whatever that is.
Yeah.
And even so, that's why you practice. That's why you put the time in, because you got to have some sort of cushion in there. You got to have something to fall back on. You can't be telling yourself lies. You can't say, oh, well, I've done all this practice, so I should be okay. You have to actually have done it. Don't kid yourself. If you're going to tell yourself something that's real. You've got to believe it. I was saying before, you've got to be real. If you haven't practiced whatever shot you're trying to hit, but you know that you can do it. You can stand on the range and you can hit it over and over and over. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do it now.
It's just a golf shot, isn't it?
It's just a golf shot. You kind of go, but I like, that helps me block it. I was talking about being distracted, blocking out everything. It's just like you just have to do it. It's like someone's got a gun to your head. I've told a few friends this, they laugh about it, but it's true. Someone's got a gun to you and says, people will do two things in this situation. They say, you have to hit the best shot of your life. I'm going to shoot you, let's just say. And this is the extreme. Sometimes you need extreme thoughts to get the result. Sometimes you don't even have to think much at all. You can just hit the shot. Just depends on how you are at the time, on the day. And so I'll just, it's like if someone's got a gun to my head, I don't have any choice to live. I have to hit a great shot. So it blocks everything out. I just give it my all.
And
where some people might just crumble.
Freak out.
Most of us,
I crumbled.
Just thoughts like that, or I'll say, if you want to really win this, and people say don't think about winning, but I do. You don't have any choice. It's up to you. You've got a choice. You either hit a great shot or you don't. So you might as well try and hit a great shot. Like just give it your all. Just let your body just go. Let it move how it needs to move. Just hit it all. Even if it just get it there somehow. Just get it to that target. Even if you don't put the best swing on it in your life, just get it to the target somehow. Get the ball in the hole somehow.
What a fascinating peek behind the curtain there from a golfer who I think we can all agree has achieved her goal of providing some inspiration, particularly for those of us on the other side of 50. I hope you enjoyed that chat with Sue Wooster. Make sure to come back next time when we'll meet Australian golf's ultimate power couple, Bob and Kathy Shearer.